Welcome to Swimming with Sepsey, where we break down various life topics, bring on inspirational guests to talk about their lives, their experiences, and encourage you to swim through your own inner thoughts, emotions, and feelings to inspire a change within you that will hopefully lead to an outer change in your own personal reality. I ask that throughout this episode and all future episodes that you come with an open mind, an open heart, and a willingness to look at yourself in a different way and to look at the world in a different way. I'm grateful for each and every one of you that's tuned in this current moment, and I look forward to sharing many more moments with you. And with that, let's dive on in. Hey. Let's go.
Crisp.
Welcome. Tuesday.
It's fine
March.
Tuesday morning.
I don't even know. It's actually afternoon. What's today's date? The 12th? Should we start time stamping these?
Yeah, because maybe if we bring on Matt again, maybe we can start throwing a little astrology forecast in there too. I don't know, I'm just spitballing, but maybe
spitball ideas. I like spitballing ideas. I think it's fun. Welcome to Swimming with Sepsey, your host, Joshua Sepsey, and you got your co-host, Nikki Tomaszewski. I don't know why, but I have to say your name like that.
I feel like I should be coming out of a tunnel.
Coming out. All right, and we're gonna do the honors. I've actually never lit this before. We were just talking about that, so the way gets to light the incense today. La da da la da dee la da da la da do.
La da dee la da do. What flavor is this one?
Sandalwood. Good old sandalwood.
That's one of my favorites.
This is shout out to Ted the Incense Man. He's always at the downtown Phoenix Farmers Market. I think he usually always does first Fridays. But yeah, he makes the incense. I love him. I always try to go. I just ran out, so I gotta go get more. But It's been a while since I've gotten some, but he makes some really good ones. I always like to try and get the sandalwood ones he got, and then he's also got I don't know. I actually can't remember the ones I usually get from him. I think I get a blood sage. Is that one I get? I don't know. I get a bunch of funky ones because he's got some cool names for him, but he makes them really well, and they're really good. Lasts forever.
This one smells good, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not overpowering.
It's not too perfumey,
yeah.
It's a subtle, strong incense.
Mm-hmm.
Nice smoke. Burns really well, really easily. Some you gotta relight. This one just goes smoothly.
Nice.
So yeah, I've only gotten my incense from him. Shout out Ted the Incense Man. Nice. Today is actually a special episode because today is actually our 10th. Not our 10th recorded because we've had to redo some, but our 10th ever episode that's going to be put out. And we are going to do one on a special thing. You may hear me say, oh, they said, or if you see me kind of looking around, looking into space, it's because I'm listening. Nikki's there too. And a lot of people are. Some may not be aware. But we're going to talk about the Akashic records. Dive into what they are.
Yeah.
Dive into a little bit of folklore about them. And how you might be able to access them on your own. Oh.
I
didn't think we were going to talk about that today, but that sounds kind of cool. It's an interesting place, and it's very, very fun. But the reason why we're doing this is because a lot of that is where I get a lot of what people call downloads, information. Now, it doesn't come, obviously I got to do my own studying on some things. But as far as the connections, the growth, that's also how I do my readings. It's also how I sculpt the coaching based on your personal Akashic records. We'll get into that. And then we'll also get into a couple things. But I wanted to, since we're on the 10th episode, since we're finally talking about the Akashic records, because I know we've been wanting to talk about this one for a long time. You were like, when are we going to do the Akashic records episode? I was like,
Yeah. We might do a few, too, because it's a deep topic.
Yeah.
And
we're going to keep it short today, because it's just a little drop of an intro.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll definitely, I would like to do a live, Q&A.
Oh, that would be cool.
With,
I could see that'd be
doing the Akashic records.
That'd be dope. That way we can just dive in right there into the Akashic records and experience it for yourself.
Exactly. Experience it live. So I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I like that.
But what I want to do is for every subscriber. So if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and you've already subscribed, take a screenshot, shoot me a message on either Instagram and email that you're a subscriber. I will give you $15 off a reading of your choice. Akashic record reading. We can do a 30-minute. We can do an hour. We can do anything like that. But I want to, I know we have some subscribers. We got 12. So shout out all of those people. So I want to give you guys something here. Who knows? I might even push it to $20 off just because why not? Actually, let's do it. $20 off a reading. As long as you just send me a screenshot that you subscribe. And for those that subscribe in the future, if you watch this video, I will still honor that discount.
Nice.
So just send me a screenshot that you subscribed. And I got to see a timestamp. All right. Don't just screenshot just to subscribe.
Yeah.
And then only one per person.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. No.
Multiple accounts. Hey, if you want to subscribe to multiple accounts, I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I will only give you one discount per reading. Anyways, all right, we're going to dive on in. So first off, what are the Akashic records? I'm going to start with that kind of question because in a lot of areas it's been talked about in a lot of different religious texts. They call it the Kasha or the Akasha. And if you were to do a Google search or something on what are the Akashic records, a lot of times you'll see, sometimes it'll come up in, I believe, Buddhism, Hinduism. Someone talks about the Akasha. It's also mentioned some other scripts. And basically it's, I want to talk about the overarching Akashic records before I go into personal, because it's different. Not different, but it just seems different. So the overarching is really think of it as another dimensional plane, whether your beliefs. And again, remember the very intro, I tell you to keep an open mind. Everything goes by from your own personal experience. This is stuff that I've personally experienced. So this is why I'm speaking on it. Think of it as an overarching dimensional plane. Every thought, everything that's happened throughout history on this plane, other, whether you believe it or not, other dimensions or places on this universe, it acts as your cloud storage for your phone. You have thoughts, you have actions, we have history, we have future potential outcomes of things that we're thinking about doing. And so this is where you get people that can, see timelines and give you advice. Some psychic readers can say, hey, if you're thinking about this in the future, blah, 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 this could come out to this, and you start seeing spans, and they give you timelines of things. It works in the same space of like astrology, but it holds all of that, your emotions, for every single person that's ever lived, that is living now, and even information on those that are going to be on this plane in the future. So it holds just a massive amount, and it's very, very vast. But some theologists talk about that as it just being this overarching large plane. Now, when you get into your personal records, there's a couple examples I like to use, which is pretty fun. When I first entered them, it was just a giant library. Like, it was like a Roman library with like these giant columns and this huge hallway, and there was like books everywhere, and I could feel like just rows and rows and rows of books. But then there's like these, there's keepers. So there's actually, I don't know what to call them.
Like entities or something?
Yeah, if you want to use the term entity, but it's like they're okay, this is a great example. This is what I'm getting. If you've ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I love that show so much.
I know. So good. So there's a owl that guards his library. This is the perfect example of them giving like a snippet of where I was like, oh, they're using the Akashic records because they're looking at the library looking for information, blah, blah.
Oh, I remember this.
So there's an owl that guards it.
Yeah.
So there's things like that. They're not necessarily like entities, but they will stop at you from using it for malicious intent. And so it's a very sacred space. It's not like someone can just go into the Akashic records and grab stuff and then use it against you, or things like that. The only way that you can gain access is by having a pure of heart intention on why you're going there in the first place, why you're using them in the first place, and what information you're wanting to gain. Normally it's... So that was kind of how I went in there, and you have to be very just... I don't know. I was very grateful because going in there was able to literally see just like, you would have kind of like how our technology is working nowadays. You would think like there's, how you can think something, and they have it where you could put like a brain scan on, you could think something and it'll just start to pop up or populate, or it will type it out, right? You know how we're creating that now? Yeah. So like when you're in the records, it's similar to that. You have the thought, and it's like a fast forward dream where it just launches you right to that point. And depending on what you're able to receive is how they will portray you the message. So whether you're a deep visual learner, you may get a lot of imagery, or they'll, if you are more of an old school, they might show you like a picture book. Like I've seen picture books, like moving picture books kind of like show me things. And then I've also gotten phrases or words, or a lot of the times, like even just recently, imagery of trying to help you describe something, that you may just kind of grasp out of nowhere. It's just like coming from where did this come from? Where did that thought come from, right? You may not have ever been thinking about it before, or you're just like, wow, that was a great analogy, right? That's like little blips of the Akashic records being like, you need this right now, you need this, right? You need this or that. It's also connected to the collective consciousness. Collective consciousness, yeah. So everybody shares things. That's why you could have an idea, and then someone completely other place could have the exact same idea.
That always trips me out. And I think I heard this one time. This is kind of like just another little nugget of wisdom. It's not really about Akashic records, but maybe it is. I was gonna say, the thing I always hear myself saying to myself now, anytime I like come up with something creative to do, and I know it's like it's my purpose to do it, like I'll always tell myself like I have to do it because I'm getting this vision or I'm getting this inclination or inspiration to do it, and I have the way to like in my own way I have like that creation to put out there, and if I don't, I know eventually someone else is going to do it, but it's not going to be the expression that I would have, and I'm probably going to never want to do it anyways because I know someone else is doing it. Yeah. But it was like, it is a shared consciousness, but it's like, it could have been like a birthing, and then it could have like, I don't know, it probably could have progressed you onto something like more. I don't know if you know what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. Like, because you could see that product come out or someone create something and be like, dang, I literally had that same idea.
Yeah.
But it's just a totally different spin because it doesn't have your biological imprint per se on that. Like from your past where your emotions are at or you're trying to express, right? Maybe a similar idea, but because someone has a different, upbringing, they're going to have different emotions on that project.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, even though it's the same.
So just do it, I guess, if you feel like you want to create something and you get that inclined to do it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Shout out Nikki. Dropping words of wisdom and advice always. That's pretty, you make a great valid point. Like, if you feel that deeply about something and you get that, like, do it. Go for it. Don't let anyone stop you about it. Hence why we're here.
Yeah.
So the records will help with that too, as far as potential future outcomes. So when you're doing a reading or getting a reading from someone that's in the Akashic records, they most likely pull from your current energy now, where your thoughts have been, things that you want to do in the future, where blockages are coming from. A lot of it, the way that I like to use them, and not necessarily use, I guess I should say access more than use.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the term use, but the way I like to access them for others is for your personal growth. And I think that's what they're really used for when, they talk about you learn from history. Well, Akashic Records is all history, present, past, and future. It's weird to think history in the future, but
yeah,
it's not necessarily solid yet. It's like it's just slowly birthing. It's like you have a baby being born, you have an idea being formed, and there's a bunch of things that can happen to that thing as the cells divide. So same thing when you're intending to do something. That's why you can come up with different potential timelines or fall into different potential timelines.
Yeah. So, like, could you say that, like, this space of being open to the Akashic Records or having access to is, like you're describing it as, like, this birthing place of, like, where infinite knowledge and wisdom or potential it exists, and then you can access that for maybe the intention of helping others or yourself?
Or yourself, yeah. And so that's where like, that's kind of where the split is when you're talking about the Akashic Records. Is there's people that can access it for everyone, and then there's people that can only access it for themselves. And that really has to do with your personal soul's journey as to why you're here. I like this. A friend of mine actually sent some videos of like a near-death experience to me one time, and this guy basically said, when I died, and I'm definitely going to butcher this because I don't remember word for word. I watched the video once. But he was like, when I died, it was basically like I was watching like a movie. I was feeling like I was sitting in a theaters, and there was this guy there, and basically said, I don't know, he said a lot of other stuff, but one thing that stood out was he's like, you have a job to do. You can either go back, finish the job, or you can come with me. And I'm like, you just be dead. You're in that space. But like that, hearing that on multiple occasions, because there was another video I watched where someone said similar the same thing. Like you're here for a mission. And your soul's here for a mission. Whether you want to believe that or not, you're usually right in line and like working at it. There's opportunities that arise in your life that can send you on a multitude of directions. And it's whether you choose to answer the quote-unquote call or choose to take these opportunities that can shift your life in many different directions. Some can definitely benefit you. Some can send you on, a regular path. Some can keep you in a space of comfort. Some can hinder your life and make it more difficult. But it's all about the decisions and choices you make. And going back to this space of, it's a conditional free will. You can do whatever you want in this life. You can choose to create that. But as far as the conditional part goes, this is kind of fun, has to do with your own personal experiences that you've had in this lifetime. The Akashic records are going to give you little blips on how to heal a lot of this and kind of progress you forward and keep you in line. But if you can choose not to even access them or desire to access them, and your life will just be as is. What I mean by you can kind of create, I'm going back because I just feel like there's this now open-ended question of, what do you mean by conditional free will? So all of your thoughts, all of your learned behaviors, your patterns, your habits, they begin to start to create almost like a mathematical equation of how you're going to live your life and the choices you're going to make. It's a very subconscious mathematical equation, but it's like in the past you had A plus B equals C, and now you have B plus C equals question mark. And so, or B plus C plus D equals question marks. Don't actually know what D is, but your past experiences had B and C in them. And so your D is this variable that you don't know, and then you have the question mark, but you have B and C that are influencing whatever D and whatever E is going to be populated as its equals. If that made sense, hopefully you could follow that. But that's basically where...
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make a lot of sense. Like, that was a beautiful example, actually, because, like, you're saying, like, the B and C are basically what you had pre-programmed in your past, and the other variables, that's where your free will comes in, to decide what these new factors.
D is this new factor, but E is going to be based on whatever B and C were in your past. Unless you have like an outside source that comes in and completely makes you think of something completely different, but that's also still conditional free will because someone else is coming in and giving you advice, right? You still have the free will to make the choices, but as far as like the energy of the things that come up, that's where it becomes what you've always done, this energy of maybe something new that you would never have thought of before unless you really sit and access a place that you've never been.
That's what I was about to ask, is like, so what is that new, where does that new inspiration come from?
So this is, I just hear this booming answer, the Akash, the records. Big space of creativity and insights, but when people have these like new crazy ideas, it's because a lot of the time they're studying on a topic and then they're studying another topic and they have all these different passions, and then it somehow converges into this kind of like big bang in their brain where they make connections between what they've been studying and they're like, wait, this new thing could do this. And so again, going back to blah 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 blah, B C, D, the things they've studied, create somehow this magical E that seemed to have formed from out of nowhere, but they had past influences in their past. But there's also a space where you can, what I would like to say, you can reach, where you work through those old mathematical equations of how you equate B, how you equate C, how you equate D. And you re-engineer them to be almost like all even and blank slates, to where then you're able to maneuver the thoughts that come through, because you have over, 80,000 thoughts a day, sometimes more, depending on the person. And you're able to filter through and recognize past programming. That's past programming. That's past. That's past. Okay, that's not helping me. That's nothing new. And then you can also ask the question. This is where prayer kind of comes in. Prayer and meditation of asking the question. What do I need here? What's this? What do I need to know? What am I creating? What can I create? And then you may get insights on things you've never thought of before. That's the records. That's the download. That's the, whoa, I'd never tried this before. Let's try that. That's where you get that inspiration. Well, I've had this idea. I need to create this before either someone else does, and I'll just ride with that.
So a couple thoughts when you're asking and you're coming from this space of like you want to make a change or you want to reach somewhere new because you want to either change your life or your path or whatever you see it going down, like a place you don't want it to go. When you're asking and praying, I'll say asking because I don't want anybody to be swayed if you say praying, like whatever. It's not really, you know what I mean? Like I don't. We're not talking
Prayer's
about it's like
different.
Yeah,
we're not talking about like how we were just randomly reciting prayers.
That's
Did
hilarious.
you grow up this? Did you know the Our Father? Yeah, I did grow up. We just spit the Our Father. That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
No, not prayers like that.
Yeah.
No, but
like when you're asking, I was gonna say like, what if someone's looking for an answer or something, some kind of guidance inside themselves, and they don't feel like they're looking for the guidance, but they don't know exactly what they're looking for? Is that a problem? Is that why some people say that their prayers aren't answered? Or
because so when you're looking for guidance, again, you have to go back to, and you actually I'm going to quote you on this when you were talking about like your intention. That's also important. What is the outcome of the guidance that you're looking for, wanting to have happen? Is it to better your life? Is it to, or is it to get revenge on something, or to, prove to someone else that you're this, right? So like, where is the intention on the guidance you're looking for? Because you can get guidance multiple different ways. But if you don't know, you're saying like you don't know what to look for as far as when it comes to guidance. That has to do a lot with this unknowing of your own direction. Because if you're asking for guidance and you don't know you don't know where to look for guidance, I mean, that's going to be everywhere. You're going to get little blips everywhere. But if you're not open to receive the guidance, you're not going to see it.
What do you mean not open to receiving it?
Like, a lot of people like to play not a lot of people. Some people like to play a victim role. So although they might say they want guidance, they might not even care and might not care to look for it, or just be so stubborn that when they get the guidance, they're like, no, I don't know. Or it.
Yeah.
But you don't want to make the change because you feel like it goes against who you are. Damn. Again, ego, you've embodied this place.
Woo.
Yeah. So there's that, but I think those that are really lost when you get to a point and you are beaten down by life and just, going into the 12th round of this boxing match and you're just bloodied and you're mentally drained emotionally, like at that point, if you're looking for guidance and you've been looking for guidance this whole time, that's when miraculous changes can start to occur. Because, not saying they can't occur before that, but if you've always kind of turned it down, or you're just stuck in this mental place and you can't ask for help, and you're trying to do things on your own, you're having to really make the universe work because you're not putting in any work. So the reason why you even made it to this 12th round is because you didn't get up and try to ask for help or try to reach outside, and you didn't try to do anything different in the first 12 rounds, and you just kept trying to do the same thing and expecting a different result. Definition of insanity. Not saying you're insane, but you just have programming that hinders you from reaching out to new venues to try and pull yourself into a space that might help you grow or find that guidance that you're looking for and give you some sort of direction. My best thing, if you're in that space, start to journal. Write it out. Talk to a friend. Hell, hit me up. Shoot me a message. Shoot me an email. I'll sit and talk with you for a bit. Even if you don't have the funds, we'll work something out. So there's a lot of different ways. The Akashic definitely works with the space of manifestation, though. And I say this because it's where you access a lot of patterns, and it's where it also gives you that insight on things that you desire to manifest, and gives you that like blip of it's just really, because they're saying it's really intertwined with our intuition. And it's so entwined that we actually not mistake, but our ego takes it in a form of us, and we let pride get in our way of this space of gratitude for the unknown. And then we become so afraid of the unknown when the unknown has been guiding you this whole time. Oh, well, that was beautiful. Yeah, they've been kind of helping us, cultivating. And there's multiple unknowns. This war right now, everyone talk about war. I love seeing we're in a spiritual war, a spiritual battle. We are. You don't know how to protect yourself on a spiritual level. And when we're talking about spiritual levels, it's like, what do I do? Pray, blah, blah. No, it's just watch your intake. Watch where your thoughts are. Watch how you're creating. That's what's going to be your reality. That's where we're at now. That's how heightened the energy is now. Things are happening so quick. We start creating something. And so, like, I always take this on a huge macro level. I'm just like, well, imagine what would happen if we were all in the same direction. Right? They've kept everything separated. They love it. But the Akash, how to access it yourself. I want to kind of go into that a little bit. There's meditations you can do that can help get you there. There's okay. You have to first have a knowing in your heart, and then like an open heart conversation. Like you're having open heart surgery with yourself. You got to have an open heart-to-heart conversation. First off, as to why. What do we need? What are we looking for? Why are we wanting to access the records? Am I already in the records and I didn't even know it? Like some of you are. And that's the first step to opening you up to getting, like, I don't know, quote unquote approval, access. And then you have to sit with self. So this has to be like a interpersonal journey. And then once you're starting to kind of quiet things down, that's when you start asking the questions, and then you wait and listen. And it takes a lot of practice to understand and tune to that frequency of always hearing the Akashic records. And hearing, I speak like that because it does come as like a space where it's like, where is this? Like, I'm hearing it. And but it's also imagery. For me, it's like everything at once. It's like that movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
I know what you're talking about. I've never seen it, but yeah, everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah. Or things are just happening simultaneously. So like, it's interesting. But for you personally, for like people that are wanting to try it and wanting to get understanding and get access, definitely start with the heart opening of what your heart desires. Find a good direction. And a direction of like, how do I want this to help me grow in the future? Or how can this aid me in my life now? What do I need to know from my past that's kind of holding me back from being able to take the next step, whether it be in relationships, in my career, or in my own personal routine? And you start to kind of ponder these things, and that's where it starts to draw you into a heart-centered space. But you gotta fight the space to lie to yourself. Call yourself out. Who cares? Call yourself out. Oh, I was lying to myself, or no, this is really it. And it might take you a while to get past that barrier. But that's the only way that you're going to break down your own ego enough to be able to hear and get those, what are starting to start as little whispers or little like intuitive thoughts or actions. That's where you're going to start to feel that connection to the Akashic records. And start to gain that kind of insight for self. And, you know, maybe once you start on that journey down the road, maybe a couple weeks, couple months, you'll start getting different dreams, bringing you to places where you feel like you're astral traveling or you're, you know, on a whole different place. But that's kind of how you start. I don't want to dive too deep into it because it's going to take some practice and time, but that's the very, very like tip of the iceberg to start to get access or like understanding of when you're actually there.
Yeah.
And they'll feel it. You'll feel like this is outside of me, but also within me, which is cool.
Yeah, dude, I think, man, there's so much, because I feel like the Akashic Records is like the foundation of where all your healing, all your progression is going to come from. So, like, it's crazy to see it, like you said, you don't want to say you being used, but accessed for pretty much every, like, part of your life in a way. Like, but one thing I wanted to add to what you said that came to me when you were talking about it was, like, also I feel like a huge thing about the Akashic Records is, like, knowing what your purpose is. Because then I think you said something about, like, knowing the direction.
Yeah.
So then, like, once you know kind of what your purpose or your soul's purpose is for being here on Earth, I feel like you can maybe help discern within yourself when you're in the Akashic Records, when you're like in the flow, and like when you're there, And because you'll have clear intentions because it's something you're passionate about, it's something you love to do, it's coming from a pure space. So I feel like another way to try accessing it is like know what you're here to do and express that in your own most unique way possible. Like, and then, like you said too, like how to know what to look out for, I guess, or like if you're there, if you're not there. Like, I think you said it perfectly. Like, knowing when you're asking for guidance or something, if you're asking for your guides or whatever you believe, like, yeah, if you're just ignoring it, like you have this, it's a knowing. And it's crazy to know that you know something without like fully like being aware of it. Like, cause it hurts. It literally hurts your soul to go against like your soul's path or like the alignment of like the universe or like being like, I feel like if you're going against that, but you don't, yeah, like you said, like you don't want to listen to it. Yeah. And so I think that's one way to get like being like, well, if you're not putting a lot of intention into your growth, into like opening up your heart space more or whatever it is that you're focused on or what's being asked of you in that time for your growth, then like I guess in a way they're gonna say like, well, we're not gonna try because you have to put in the other half of the effort.
Yeah, always.
Yeah,
it's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah,
you know, you gotta do a certain amount of work. You know, like you can try and sit and manifest all you want, but if you're not doing things that are gonna open up the opportunities, you're going to miss all those opportunities that are being put out in the world for you. And so that takes a time and understanding of when this is, because the universe works in a yin-yang, it's going to throw at you opportunities of, did you learn this lesson, which could set you back. And it's also going to throw at you opportunities that, are you ready to grow? And that can propel you forward. And so being able to have a space of discernment of when to say no and when to say yes definitely takes a time internal to understand and understand your ego. And again, like you said, what your soul's purpose is, so you have a direction. Now, there is one thing I will say, they want me to expand on that, is that there's like an overarching purpose, and then there's timeline purpose. So, at certain spaces in your life, what you're here to do may change over time. So for this block of 4 or 5 years, your purpose may look like this. For 8 years after that, your purpose may look like this. But there's always an overarching purpose that serves this whole mission throughout. And that's the big one. But it's understanding that even throughout these things changing, and when you can finally know what this overarching purpose is, and this is individual, this is all personal, from personal experience. This is something that, you know, I can't sit and tell you what that is. So if you're trying to look and ask for something, it's one thing with the Akashic records. I will tell you this right now. I will not tell you what your purpose is. They will not, well, they will tell you. I personally cannot, Nikki cannot, no one can tell you what your purpose is, because that is individual per person. Okay, back to the overarching. So, the overarching aspect, though it may change, you have to understand that. And I like explaining it this way because I think it's helped a lot. And I've explained it to a couple people this way. You may have this wall in front of you, quote unquote imaginary wall. And it may seem like I'm stuck in this routine. I see what my purpose is and what I'm supposed to be doing, but this is where I'm at now. There's no way. But you have to understand, the more that you continue to go and you just hold, you don't think of this, there's no way. You just hold on to this intention of everything that I do right now is going to align me with the greater purpose that I am going to serve in my life. So I will continue. I will keep going. So you'll get to this wall and you peek up, you're like, oh, there it is. Okay. And then you come back down and you go and there's another one. You're like, oh, I lost sight for a second, and then maybe you got to jump to see it again. And then you keep going, you're like, okay, I know it's there. There's a level of trust and faith that you got to have, that you're always in the right path, no matter what it seems like your purpose might be different in this timeline. But with the guide of the records, it's like it just makes it a lot more clear, and there's more like faith that I have. So I definitely am. I feel grateful to be able to, do that and bring that to people and kind of be able to help them grow through these spaces so they can, shed the veil and discover what their purpose may be on their own. Maybe they've had an inkling, they just didn't have this belief or trust in themselves, and that's some past thing that they totally forgot about. And so the Akashic records, when you're doing a coaching, is going to help bring that back up, because you don't think about it, right? You don't necessarily sit there, and it's hard for you to create that because your ego and your own personal ego is going to want to say something different. So when you're doing like a coaching session or a reading in the records, it's going to allow me to just go, here it is, boom. Do you see this and this and this connection, this. And it just helps people make sense of it, which is why I just feel grateful. And I met a lot of great Akashic record readers too, and there's a lot of people that read that feel like they're not in the records, and they really are. And I think that's, you can put a name to it or not. Doesn't, just trust what you feel as long as you have that heartfelt intention. I think we're going to stop there.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that was good. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Again, send me a screenshot of you subscribing to the YouTube channel. Only do the YouTube channel. It's great. You can also follow me on everything else. TikTok, we have Swim with Sepsey. Instagram, Swim with Sepsey. Check out the webpage, www.soulyliving.com. That's where you can actually check out for a reading. Schedule is a little limited. And yeah, send me that screenshot, $20 off. Any reading, past life reading. I have a life, live your full expression reading, which is a really long one. And then I just have general Akashic record readings that we could do as well for you. Hit me up. Anyways, appreciate everybody that does subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in. Seriously, a lot of blessings out to all of you. Much love. You guys are the drive as to why I keep going. Well, you and a lot of other things. But love you all. All right, tune out.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Swimming with Sepsey. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and follow us on our YouTube channel, or listen on all platforms or wherever you get your podcasts. Any support is greatly appreciated. You can find us on our Patreon page at patreon.com/swimmingwithsepsey. You can also follow us on Instagram at swimmingwithsepsey. And if something did arise today, maybe you need some clarification or want some help or just need some guidance and don't know where to go, feel free to reach out to me via email, swimmingwithsepsey@gmail.com, or you can find my website, at soulyliving.com, where I offer coaching packages, readings, and things of that nature. Again, thank you for tuning in. Very grateful. Namaste. And we'll find you on the next episode of Swimming with Sepsey.